we live in a protein obsessed society. For some reason, protein is associated with being more macho or being stronger,
Muscles.
being muscly, or being, I don't know. I don't know historically where it has come from, but we live in a society where it's obsessed with protein. And I've seen you have a really interesting stance in that you're talking about. Often that protein is converted into, and the body stores it as fat, which is contrary to what most people would assume.
Yeah, because you can't store protein. That's the key. So you don't sort of keep it for a rainy day when, you just happen to turn up in the gym and you can use it and you get big muscles. So this is a huge misconception, but the food industry have locked into that, our ignorance about protein, and sort of trying to pretend we're all protein deficient. That's why we're not beefed up enough and looking too puny and morally feeble, and so we need protein. And the idea is that when you have sugars, you use it, and if it's not used up, it gets converted to fat. Fat, unless you're using it in long-term energy, it will get converted to fat and stored in the body, and that's our survival mechanism. And protein is not very efficient, so you don't as an energy source, but you'll only use it if your body needs it at that moment or in the next few hours to help synthesize new muscle protein or rebuild, general repair work, but we don't need very much of it. And so most of us are having nearly double the amount we need anyway from our normal food. And so by taking these extra proteins, whether it's in powders, snack bars, or steaks, we are not using it. So it gets broken down into these little fractions that actually get converted back to sugars and then to fats. So people think, oh, I never get fat by eating protein. They do. So that's the big, you either pee it out or it goes onto your belly, but most of it's not going into your bicep.
Wow. And then in terms of protein, like say minimum requirement approximately around 10% of calories, and people are probably getting around 20%. Would that be roughly accurate, or is it?
Roughly, yes. I mean, it all depends on the age, but so I think it's possible that about 5% of the whole population are not getting enough protein. Most of those are elderly people who are not eating very much, but young people who are eating plenty of food will be getting, a lot of their protein from things like grains, or just by eating a bit of spaghetti, or having some beans, baked beans, or whatever it is. There's protein in many things that we don't think about, in yogurt, in eggs. And so the only people might need to worry, if you are a vegan bodybuilder, for example, and you're not really careful with what you're eating, yeah, you might need some extra protein. If you are a 75-year-old lady who wants to keep exercising and build up her muscle, but she's also wants to lose weight at the same time, then she might worry. Everyone else is probably getting at least double what they need already. And I think that's the lesson. So I think it's this blanket promoting advertising saying we must have more protein and protein is healthy and there's no downside to it, is just showing how susceptible we are to advertising and marketing in this area, and how we don't have the people really to tell us what's going on. And, in a few years later, we'll feel like mugs again, having been conned by the food industry, just like they fooled us with low-fat foods and, low diet drinks and artificial sweeteners and all these things that they persuaded us we needed were much better for us, but turned out not to be.
Wow. Yeah, it's mad. Like, it really is. And you talked there about the food industry, and I want to bring it back to, like, it's very difficult. Like,